Welcome to This Explainer. So, if you're trying to untangle the incredibly complex world of U.S. university admissions right now, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're building a clear, step-by-step roadmap to not just get you admitted, but to secure a massive return on your education investment. I love breaking down complex systems, so let's jump right in. Look, I get it. Applying to study in the US, it can feel completely overwhelming. You've got standardized tests, endless essays, tight deadlines, and of course, the looming fear of massive tuition fees. But here's why the hustle is 100% worth it. The US offers some of the highest salaries globally, incredible job opportunities, and literally the maximum amount of scholarships compared to anywhere else in the world. And that's largely thanks to their massive university donor networks. $1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. That's equivalent to about 8 crore rupees. Believe it or not, that is the exact amount in scholarships secured by just one strategic student we looked at. Sounds impossible, right? No way. But it proves that meticulous planning pays off in very real, life-changing ways. You just have to know the rules of the game. So, to lower your anxiety and give us a clear path forward, here is our 5-step game plan for today's explainer. We'll choose your degree and term, conquer the standardized tests, strategically shortlist your schools, craft the perfect application, and finally, secure those maximum scholarships. All right, let's start with step 1, choosing your degree and term. The absolute crucial point here is this. What you study heavily dictates your ability to actually stay in the US after you graduate. The data points to a very clear strategy. Choose a STEM degree. That's science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. Why? Because STEM degrees unlock a 3-year post-study work visa, and this drastically improves your chances in the H-1B visa lottery. If you go for a non-STEM course, your chances of securing a job and staying in the country pretty much plummet. Now, there is a really fascinating loophole here. If you work for a university, a charity, or the UN, you actually fall under the H-1B exempt list and bypass the lottery entirely. But for those high-paying corporate jobs, STEM is your best armor, for sure. Next up is your timing. U.S. universities generally have 3 terms: fall in September, spring in January, and a much smaller summer term in June. You absolutely want to aim for fall, because that's when almost all the courses are available, and, more importantly, the most funding is open. But here's the strict rule you have to follow. You must start preparing at least 1 year in advance. So to start classes in September 2026, you need to be testing and prepping by September 2025 to hit those critical November application deadlines. Moving right along to step 2, conquering the standardized tests. I know, looking at this alphabet soup of exams can be super intimidating. But here is a very reassuring secret. Stellar test scores can actually save a mediocre academic history. If your past grades aren't amazing, a massive test score gives the admission committee a solid reason to just overlook them. To make this easier, think of these exams in 2 distinct buckets. First, you've got your aptitude tests, things like the SAT for undergrads or the GRE and GMAT for master's programs. The second bucket is English proficiency, TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. You don't have to take all of them. Actually, definitely don't do that. You just need to pick the right one from each column for your specific program. Now, if you're applying for a master's degree, you're probably going to be weighing the GRE against the GMAT. The rule of thumb here is incredibly simple. Choose based purely on your natural strengths. If your quantitative and math skills are off the charts, take the GMAT. If your verbal and language skills are more your strong suit, lean towards the GRE. Seriously, play to your advantages so you can get that high score and cover up any past academic blemishes. And this brings us to one of my absolute favorite insider hacks, the Duolingo test. When it comes to the English requirement, why pay more and wait longer just to prove you speak English? Duolingo is cheaper, the results come back lightning fast without having to wait for booked slots, and crucially, this is huge, you can send your scores to an infinite number of schools for absolutely free. The other tests, they charge you per school after the first few. And don't even worry about prestige. It's accepted by over 5,000 universities worldwide, including top-tier schools like Duke and Imperial College London. It's a total game changer. Okay, so now that your prerequisite test scores are locked in, let's look at step 3, shortlisting your target schools. You really shouldn't just apply randomly. There is a very strategic, balanced 8-school formula to perfectly manage your application risks while still aiming for those high scholarships. You want to pick 3 ambitious reach schools where admission is tough, 3 moderate schools where your profile perfectly aligns with their averages, and 2 safe schools where your scores are well above the requirement. Those safe schools virtually guarantee you a spot and, more than likely, a really great scholarship. But how do you pick the specific schools within those tiers? Well, here is a golden nugget of advice from our sources. Focus on location more than you focus on anything else. We all get blinded by Ivy League rankings or, nice weather, but the reality is that location drives your job opportunities and overall return on investment far more than a university's national rank. If you study tech, being in California or Texas puts you right in the recruiter's backyard. Think geography, not just prestige. Which brings us to step 4, crafting the perfect application. This is the paperwork phase, navigating the portals, getting recommendation letters, and writing that absolutely critical statement of purpose, or SOP. Your SOP is your chance to tell your unique story. But I have to give you a massive warning right now. Your SOP must sound human. Admissions officers can spot raw ChatGPT text from a mile away. If you are going to use AI for assistance, use specialized tools that are specifically trained on top-tier, successful Ivy League essays and that include built-in humanizers. This makes sure your writing flows naturally and tells a compelling, undetectable story about why you belong in their program. And finally, we reach step 5, arguably the most exciting phase of this explainer, securing maximum scholarships. Let's talk about getting the university to actually pay for your incredibly expensive education. Check this out. While the majority of students are partially funded or self-funded, a highly inspiring 22% secure fully funded admissions. Let that sink in for a second. 22% are spending 0 pennies on tuition. It is absolutely possible if you apply the right strategies. To be part of that 22%, you really need to understand the difference between merit-based and need-based funding. Need-based funding is incredibly difficult for international students coming from countries with massive applicant pools. It's simply due to university diversity goals. Think about it. If a school has one need-based scholarship to give, they're way more likely to give it to the single applicant from a less represented country to build a diverse campus, rather than one of the thousands of applicants from a highly represented region. So average international applicants should aggressively target merit-based funding, which is awarded purely for your excellent profile, your test scores, and your academic hustle. And when it comes to those merit scholarships, timing is literally everything. You need to target round 1, which typically falls around November of the year before you start. Why? Because that is the critical window when universities have fresh, untouched funding available. By round 2 in January, you're fighting for leftover scraps of money. And by rounds 3 and 4, there is essentially 0 funding remaining. The earlier you apply, the better your chances of getting paid to study. But wait, the work doesn't stop once you get accepted. There is a mandatory post-admission hustle. Step 1, literally just ask your admitted university for more money. Seriously, it works way more often than you think. Step 2, reach out to peers currently at that university and ask them what scholarships their classmates got. Step 3, meticulously track and apply to external options like the Chevening Scholarship or the Next Genius Scholarship. Keep a spreadsheet, set deadlines, and treat applying for scholarships like a part-time job. So we've covered the degree loopholes, the test hacks, the 8-school strategy, and the precise timing needed to unlock massive funding. It is a highly structured process, but at the center of the whole shebang is you. So when the scores are tallied and the portals are filled out, what will your unique story be? How are you going to stand out? Start building that narrative today. Thanks for joining me in this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.